Right, welcome to Q&Asa. It's Wednesday. I don't make mistakes, so safe to assume this is all present, working, correct, and going to be a good show. So, Q&Asa is a big conversation between myself and people from Gaming Arcadia and anyone that comes through. So, talk to me, talk to each other, but don't mention the thing that happened. You can. I've messed up. I managed too many YouTube shows and I launched Q&Asa bang on 10 o'clock to the wrong event. So I have overwritten, squished and ruined the Xbox Series podcast for tomorrow, which I'm glad it entertained and amused you, episode 13, but it's devastating for me. Not sure we'll ever recover. So, Pete, I would say I've had my ears lowered and my face paled. I look a different colour to yesterday. That's unusual. And that's how this show goes. We have weird conversations where people pass judgments on my face and ears. Anyway, let's talk about all of the things, all of the games. This show, episode 13, I'm not weird. I mean, I probably am. I would hate to not be weird. Imagine being normal. Especially, like my barometer for what is normal is hopefully warped. If the denizens of the internet are an example of what's normal, then I'm very glad that I'm weird. Very glad that I'm weird. How is everybody doing though? This show is sponsored by nobody at all. Because it's not. You could say it's sponsored by all of you lot actually that come and support, because I wouldn't be able to run the channel if you weren't doing that. So this show is sponsored by all of you. Thank you for doing that. Today we're going to talk about all of the things. And it's going to be brilliant. But we always start off by talking about the games that we've been playing, and especially the games that you've been playing, but also the games that I've been playing. It is, you all know the drill, you know how the show works. It's just this, it's just a messy conversation. But if you want to throw money at the internet, then you can do that. It will function. It will translate your money into words, and you can get those words on the screen. If you want to jump onto Discord and get your face and your voice on the screen, that's also an option. Very rarely anybody takes it up, but it's there. You can do it if you want to. And there will be a YouTube Q&A box and the Discord. You can stick questions in there if you want to. RWK, long time no see. Hope you're doing well. What games have you been playing, Tom? Yeah, that's what I want to know. I want to know what games everybody has been playing. I will tell you what I've been playing in the meantime, if you don't already know. I am back onto Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. And it's brilliant, but also getting back to the point of frustration why Chadley is asking too much of me. It is, I think, going to be my next actual review game as well. So I reviewed Pyre, finished up Pyre. That is on the channel. A few of you at least have watched it, and that was an interesting little game. The Final Fantasy VII review should be quite interesting as well. I think I've got a fair amount to say about that already. Lucius Augustus, you're playing Diablo 4 right now. So did the season 4, is it, launch today or yesterday? Has it changed much? Are you enjoying it? Because that's on my list to go back to. Also, loosely on the agenda, I want to do a stream playthrough of that Pyre game that I reviewed. Because Pyre is an unusual one in the way that its story unfolds. But once you've completed it once through, it unlocks what should be the default mode, where it ramps up the difficulty and makes you live with your consequences. So I might do a playthrough of that. It'll only take 4, maybe 5 streams to get through. So if I were to get back onto the streaming, which would take only a short, small amount of nudging to make happen. Season 4 of Diablo was yesterday and you're enjoying the changes. What have they changed? They've changed all the loot, haven't they? I saw some of the dev talk on what Diablo was doing, and they said that they were restructuring the way that loot works. But then they explained the systems that they've got in place, like shifting stuff around, and it's not what I wanted to hear about the loot prefixes and stuff. I wanted to hear that they'd made them really cool instead of really boring, rather than changing the progression system and how you roll and attain these things. I just wanted excitement in the loot, and I'm not sure. Oh, Baz. That's why. Oh. That's it. Like, I can't go on. I do typically look rough as fuck. That is my actual face. I'm looking a bit extra pale today because I've got too many lights on, basically. But I am probably that pale, really. And yeah. Yeah, I got like, I thought a healthy glow of sweat because I ate too much chili before coming on the show, which is something that happens from time to time. I do like my chili. But it does make me glisten. Oh, rough as fuck. That's devastating. And you put my name in all capitals. This is the worst day. Painful Discourse, you've been playing that Little Kitty Big City. Is it like actually good? Because I've heard, I know Gamsey had like, I don't think it had quite come out by the time we did the Xbox Series podcast yesterday. He was talking about that. And a few people have suggested maybe it is worth a play. I don't know, it's not high on my list to get to, Little City Big Kitty, but I might play it at some point after I've done all the many other things. I've also, wait a minute, Tom, you think you've only played Have a Good Death and a teeny bit of the Remnant 2 DLC this week. Did the second DLC come out for that? Have you all been playing it together in the Discord and I just haven't noticed? I know there was one that was likely to bring you all back onto it. Cozy fun for cat lovers. I had cats when I was a teen. Not sure if I would enjoy a game about them or not. Might try it at some point. Evil West is also on my list to try at some point, even though most people say it's not. It's not brilliant. And Redfall, Painful Discourse. I haven't played that since I played it with you around the time that it launched. Little Kid Drake. Little Kids is better than Brotato means so little to me. I appreciate your contribution, but you know that Brotato is the flaw in any kind of racing system for me. So it being better than Brotato still leaves a lot of scope for it being quite bad, actually. But Baz, get you and Chronic on stream and you'll cheer up. What do you mean? You can do the Discord thing and come and say some things, but why do you need cheering up? What's going on? Tony needs Coke, always. And Tom, Dave and Chronic played a few weeks ago, but you were still on Dragon's Dogma 2. Yeah, I need to get to the Dragon's Dogma 2 as well. I was like umming and ahhing after I did the Pyre review, and it initially completely tanked with like zero interest. A few people watched it today, which is nice, but I was umming and ahhing about what I should review next. Like, should I go something like Sandland that deserves a bit more coverage than it's got, or something really niche, or something old, or something big? And then I realized I've still not finished Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I've got plenty to say about it. If I actually want to get through it, I have to be efficient and make that the game that I review so that I can like actually dedicate some time to it. So Lucius, when you salvage legendary items, they also add to your Codex of Power, and at some point you get the perfect version of that legendary aspect, all imprinting in future. Okay, so it might have some like some coolness to the loot, specifically when you get to legendary items that have weird shit on them. That's not bad. I could probably get behind that. I don't really like, I'm not that interested in Diablo's end game in general. I just want to blast through the campaign and then go onto its hardcore modes and die in hilarious ways. Space Denizen, how's it going? What have you been playing? I finally put my VR headset back on yesterday. It's been too long, and I was instantly reminded that it is a brilliant, brilliant way to play games. But I only had a little go. I didn't get onto anything fancy and modded. I quite fancied going through the Team Beef Doom mods and Quake mods and things like that. Just for, like, those are ridiculously good fun. Obviously, there's all of the Unreal Engine mods that I need to get to as well. But I just, I played a native VR game. I played Hellsweeper VR, which is definitely interesting. Has, it carries some of the biggest, like, flaws or challenges on that VR games suffer, in that it is made for a small audience, has a very limited budget, so it doesn't really tell much of a story. It is a roguelike game, but gee, they went all in on making the combat entertaining. and letting you feel powerful. You, at least at the start of the game, you are absurdly powerful. And that's a good thing. That's one of the things that I liked about Hades as a roguelike. It makes you feel OP from the beginning and makes you wonder what you can get next. And right at the start, I'm like, I'm turning myself into a massive fire tornado and gliding across the map, melting things. You've got an unusual amount of movement for a VR game, so I can whoosh and jump and double jump and all of that kind of stuff. Pete, I look shorn and lovely. Who's Sean? Pete? No, I know what you mean. Thanks. I'm okay. I'm not here to be pretty, so if I look like death, then maybe I'll lean into that and make it part of my character. So Shady, you're pretty excited for Immortals of Aveum on Game Pass tomorrow. I reviewed that one. That's one of my few reviews on the channel. And oh my goodness, Space Denizen, I'm getting back to that. No, so Shady, a lot of people didn't like Immortals of Aveum. I did actually, for what it is. You can watch the review if you want to, or you don't have to, but it is a spoiler-free review because that's my way of doing things. It's definitely not a perfect game by any stretch, but I enjoyed it. So hopefully you'll enjoy it. I don't want to look normal, Isla. We discussed this. I am not a fan of normal. I'll take looking like death. So Space Denizen, VR chat with the new rig is bliss. Please elaborate. What is the new rig? What are you doing on VR chat? Because VR chat is a scary place to me. I went on there once upon a time, like years ago now, when Ugandan Knuckles was all the rage, and 90% of the people on there were Ugandan Knuckles, and everything was strange. It was a strange concept, idea, game, and everything that you hear about it doesn't paint a wholesome picture. But it's also like an interesting technology showcase in terms of like full body capture, face capture, all of that kind of stuff. One of the few things that really takes advantage of the stuff that the headset that I have can do in terms of eye tracking, face tracking, like make your avatar smile, blink, vomit, whatever it is you're doing in real life. So okay, so the new rig is you. You've got a massive upgrade to a beast of a PC, and you're on VR chat with it. I assume you had a little dabble with things like Cyberpunk as well. I'm sure you told me about this last time, but what do you do on VR chat? Are you actually playing games on it, or are you doing the weird like flirting with people that are using their body tracking to dance around in their anime avatars, which is how I know VR chat, I'm afraid. Pete, what's happened to your finger? I've not seen this. I'm not sure I want to see this, but tell me. And Tom has some really big beefy balls to go and eat. Good. Episode 13, I don't have a full body tracking rig at the moment. I have a treadmill for running around. But I do not have the capacity to dance, I'm afraid. What's the story, Pete? What have you done? They can see me sprint, not necessarily. Like my character would move according to how I'm walking or whatever, but my legs wouldn't be synced up and in time. It's not like that. It's not how the treadmill works. Tony, I have Lightsaber game but doesn't play it. You mean Beat Saber? I've got Beat Saber. I lost track of how the mods work in that game. Beat Saber was good when you had modded like all the tracks and things. So Space Denizen, superb frame rate, 120 in VR chat. You don't do much social wandering, you just find great worlds. You can send me a hit list of places to check out sometimes. Good. What do you do though? Is it just sightseeing in these worlds, or are they... Like, is VR chat the Roblox of VR? Do people create gaming experiences on it, or are you just exploring and wandering? A mere flesh wound? No, Pete. You have to explain how. What else have I been playing? So I've been playing Hellsweeper. Everything's very light. You just like flick a two-handed sword around very loosely with your wrist and decapitate things. Which is, it doesn't do what Blade and Sorcery does, where it tries to make things feel weighty. Hellsweeper just lets you breathe and slice things up and cast your magics and summon big rocks from the ground and explode everything, teleport and double jump all over the place and have good fun. The other thing that I played was, I played that Animal Well that people were raving about. Not many people, but you know, the kind of... No, I'm not going to say that, actually. Not going to say that. I didn't like Animal Well very much, but some people would. It's a very, very old school styled platformy, puzzly thing. Baz, you're still waiting for the Dungeon VR game? Yeah, Tony keeps doing training and stuff instead. There are also... I have to say there's enough of you, so the Dungeons of Eternity only supports 3 people, and we've got at least 6 people saying that they want to play it. Don't place all the burden on my poorly, sickly, ill-looking shoulders. There's a whole looking for group thing on the Discord. Go and play it with each other. Tell me how brilliant it is and make me feel all of the envy for missing out. And then I'll like barge my way in, right? You need to wait for me to get it going. I will get it going though, eventually. Eventually. Just jump on the Discord and use the looking for group forum. I think I even put a Dungeons of Eternity post on there a while back. So, there you go. What else is going on? Do you know, most of the like newsy bits this week, I can't bring myself to talk about very much. We'll get into some of them, but not in any great depth because I don't want to. Space Denizen, there are games and experiences and just cool places to see and explore. PK is an artist who creates HR plus hour-long musical visual experiences. You did that and jet ski riding session in the last session. That does sound like a thing worth exploring. It still scares me. This show has news. No, Tom, this show doesn't have news, but this show does talk about things that are topical sometimes. We do go back and forth on the topics that people come to expect, right? But at the moment, a lot of like gaming discourse, my very least favorite flavor of gaming discourse possibly in the world. This isn't, I'd need to think about that actually, and like really go over the things that people regularly come back to and talk about to find out what my least favorite is. But right down near the bottom of the list is like console warrior people talking about fiscal updates, quarterly financials, yearly financials, that kind of thing. And it's a shame that these conversations are so nauseatingly dull, because it comes up again and again and again because they're quarterly. So I only get like people talk about it for at least a few days, so I get like almost 3 months, not a whole 3 months, but almost 3 months reprieve before it all goes round again, and the same boring shit just gets regurgitated over and over. I can't be doing it. Cannot be doing it. All business analysts because they've seen a couple of like cherry-picked numbers or whatever. Yeah, stop it. Nobody cares. They should go and play a game or two, Boozy the Clown, and then maybe we wouldn't have to go over the same stuff. So I'm not going to be talking about that a whole lot on this show today. And you stop listening to the Iron Lords because of it. The Iron Lords normally clashes with when I go swimming, so I can't say personally like what their current topics list is like, but Cognito normally runs a good show, so I don't know. Physical stuff is boring to me. Not to everybody, but like we said at the start, I'm weird. And I'm happy to be weird. I need to request that they slow it down and just give us twice a year, eh, Tom? Yeah, maybe. Pixel Slapper, I am not wise. Me being bored of something is not a sign of wisdom. But thanks. And how you doing and what you playing? The new chaps in charge of PlayStation, that's a little bit more interesting than their numbers. and they're stating the obvious about how people make money. Do you know, actually, the one thing that does make me like recoil in horror, not horror, that's too strong, but recoil in, we'll come back to the word, I'm not sure what word to use, but when I see the current talk about like in this case Sony, sometimes it's Microsoft, coming out publicly and declaring that they really care about engagement numbers now, because they've found that when people are playing on their platform, they can extract money from them constantly. Is essentially, if you condense what they're saying and actually like take the true meaning of it, you've got these executives telling their shareholders that they've discovered that they can just constantly drip money out of their active audience, and they're really going to focus on doing that in future. And then that active audience is like, oh yeah, that sounds brilliant, I love that, please do. And it's like, what? How? Why? How is this good news to anybody? Like, it's not, please. You're the consumer, not the shareholder. Don't get told that you're going to be bled dry the entire time that you're connected to the internet, and celebrate it because reasons I don't freaking get. Forget the impression. I shouldn't do impressions of people like that. But like, I don't get. Play games. Go and play games. Have fun with the games. No, I shouldn't have tried episode 13. Impressions like that are disrespectful to people that actually speak like that. So forget, like, scrub that from the record. But typically, like, the sentiment though, I don't understand why are you celebrating the way that corporations are telling you they're going to bleed you dry? Like, that's not the essence of the hobby. That's not what's good about it. Needs to be more nasal, yeah. But again, there might be some perfectly decent, good people whose tongues are stuck in their own nostrils, and they sound unfortunate in that way. So scrap the impression from the record and just take the sentiment. I do not get like the angle that people come at these things from. Episode 13, you're starting to get annoyed by the support of the devs trend. You're not gonna like, yeah, like we've spoken about that before. There's always a middle ground where there's some merit in between it, and there's always people that push it a bit too hard. As I said before at the episode 13, it's not your responsibility to deny what's been offered to you and pay more money instead. So, Tony, you're playing The Life and Suffering of Sir Tony Brandt. It's great. You got Tom to buy it. What is this? Is this a game? Yay, 70 quid games. They must be even better than 60 quid games. Yeah. And for the pricing conversation again. I tell you, you can reframe everything about the pricing conversation if you just look at my precious VR space. Then you can look at like devs that actually need support, and even then I wouldn't say throw money at them through charity or whatever people are expecting. So yeah, weird things, weird perspectives. I prefer to talk about games, so we're going to do more talking about games. But we will talk about, so PlayStation have replaced old Jim Ryan now. Obviously, he left a few months ago, 2 months ago, 3 months ago, whenever it was that he actually signed off. It was all announced and happening a long time before. So he announced he's leaving maybe October last year, something like that, and played out the last 6 months in like a handover to the interim Hiroki Totoki fella, you know. And that interim period is over, and they have appointed their new people. We have some familiarity with one of them, that being Mr. Herman Holst, who founded Guerrilla Games, made the Killzone series, the Horizon series, before going off to lead PlayStation Studios, and now continues to lead PlayStation Studios, but in a more prominent, more paid role probably. as one of the two CEOs. Gamsley is here. That's good news. Gamsley, I'm very impressed actually that you didn't put in the document. You've probably seen the note that I left for you on the Xbox Series podcast document right now, but I did note that you hadn't put anything about Sony in the document at that point in time. So for those that are wondering, I was talking then about how little I enjoy console fanboys talking about fiscal updates, quarterly updates and stuff, and I left a note just to preempt before it could possibly happen. And I'm not saying that these guys are fanboys, but they might have fallen into the trap of thinking that Xbox podcast audiences might be really interested to hear about Sony financial update results. So just put a little note on there. First topic 0, that if you put anything about Sony fiscal results on the topic list for the Xbox show, it will land like a boot to the testicles. So don't expect that conversation tomorrow. And Gamsley was already ahead of me. He wasn't going to put it in there because he knows how we do it. Friends don't kick friends in the testicles, and we're all friends. So yeah, look forward to the Xbox Series podcast, of which I sabotaged the event an hour ago. Oh, Gamsley, you're still not kicking me in the testicles. I'm not your dad. And good evening, how's it going? Hellblade 2 just fully downloaded for you, so Shady. You're guessing that influencers have gotten a hold of it by now. I don't think they have, actually. I know there's been a demo event held where you could like play a couple of hours in London or whatever, or Iceland. But I haven't heard of influencers getting hold of it. I've heard some of them getting all riled up. I believe like big outlets like IGN and stuff have already got it and have had it for at least a week or two. I think most of the influencers are still waiting on it. And I think the review embargo is very late in the day. But then like people will obviously get all in a tizzy like, oh, it means the game's going to be disastrous and you can't even review it. But the kind of game that it is and the kind of length that it is quite difficult to put out review content that is not just a massive spoiler for what the game is. It's cinematic and you're going to be doing B-roll footage of a game that supposedly lasts about 8 hours. I can understand why they don't want people poring over that days ahead of it actually releasing. Painful discourse, we are all testicles. See, I don't know that that's true. Episode 13, what do we use to share notes? This is Gamsley's fault. Gamsley uses Google Docs. What's it called, Gamsley? The Google one. It's freaking awful as a sharing application. It can't do numbered lists properly. But, you know, it's tolerable, and I appreciate that. Actually, Gamsley goes to quite a lot of effort every week to put together topics for the Xbox show. So Google Keep. I don't know if it's called Google Keep. Gamsley, is it Google Keep? How was I rude? I said nice things about you. Does that say rude or does it say nude? I'm quite far away from the text. I'm not nude, so it probably says rude. It's Google Doc. Yeah, that's what I thought it was. Just Google Doc, episode 13. Google stuff is very good for sharing. It does share very like real-time-ish, and it's functional in that sense, but basic features are lacking. It sucks. JJ, you're late. Is anyone else hyped for Assassin's Creed Shadows? Stupid name. It's a stupid name because it reminds me of the inescapable fact that it's a stealth game. So no, I'm not hyped for it, but I'm going to bring up the trailer now that you mention it because I haven't seen that yet. I was out when they premiered that today. So bear with me, everybody. Assassin's Creed Shadows or Shadow, whatever it's called. Assassin's Creed. That's not even YouTube. Don't make me search on Bing, you idiot. Assassin's Creed Shadows. Official world premiere trailer 5 hours ago on the Ubisoft channel. Here we go. It's blurry. Why is my connection blurry? It says that it's not. Boom, 4K. Here we go. So I would bring voices into it. I should bring voices into it, but I'm not going to. Cowardly wankery play, stealthing in the smoke. From what I know of this game, It's next gen only or current gen only, however you want to term it. Like lowest common denominator is the current generation of consoles, and or get some nuance on aspects of the PC that may or may not be better or worse, but it's not being held back by the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4, shall we say. It's using an upgraded version of the same engine that the previous Assassin's Creed games used, the Anvil engine, which was already like reasonably impressive as open world engines go. It has nice reflections of fire atop the water, so that's good to know. And it's set in Japan in like the 16th century, right? That's what I know about it. And you need more information. I just gave you so much information. So much information. That's it. That's all I've got. I actually don't know. So Assassin's Creed, obviously, for the longest time has had its Infinity project name in the works, which is their like their meta platform to link all the Assassin's Creed and monetize the crap out of everything forever and ever. And I don't know if Shadows ties into that or not. Because I don't follow it that closely, because I don't really play Assassin's Creed games, but I do have Ubisoft Plus, so maybe I should give it a go, eh? No, it's too confusing. Are there any series that any of you have played that you like got into really late? Because obviously you got things like Final Fantasy that don't count, because Final Fantasy 16 is completely unrelated to the prior ones, really. And you can jump into that kind of series really late. But Assassin's Creed, they're not unrelated, right? There's a through line, a story that runs from Assassin's Creed 1 all the way through to Shadows and Jade or whatever they've got going on now. And I know that they all try and tell their own like piece of story, their own standalone tale as well. I don't know, it's they feel unwelcoming if you haven't been there at the start. And yeah, sequels are such a risk mitigation strategy. You see more sequels than you do new IP. But I would have thought things being sequel is like a soft limit on how many people are actually likely to get into it, as well as a soft floor as well for how many people you know are going to be interested. Some sequels do better than their original games though, right? Story. Boozy, is Assassin's Creed not good for story? I'm very much outside of it, and I don't know the pieces, the characters and the roles, but I see all of this stuff about it's like two factions warring over control of its central timeline, right? You got your Templars and whatever the other one is and all this kind of shit that I don't understand. But it sounded like they might actually have had some decent world building concept in there. Is it not though? Is it just terrible nonsense to loosely string together a series of games? And I talked about it last night, you got into Yakuza about 2 years ago and absolutely loved what you played. But the size of the task, because they should be played in order, is a bit much. Yeah, it's hundreds of hours of game. And the other thing about the Yakuza series in particular is they obviously went back and did Yakuza 0 late in the day, and I think they remastered some of the early ones, but then you get to a midpoint in the series, and Yakuza 5 in particular, by reputation, is not nearly as good a game as the other ones, which makes it even harder to like set out on the path of Yakuza, knowing that there's going to be like 100-hour low point in the middle. But Age of Empires was a late one for you, but Age of Empires, like they work as standalone games, don't they? Because I have not played all of them, and I haven't played much of 4, but I really like it, and the presentation and the telling of history and whatever. Like I think that is a very worthwhile game to play if you're interested in history. Never mind the mechanics. Okay, so Assassin's Creed's lore is a load of twaddle. But that, to some extent, that makes it like easier to just jump on late, I suppose. Episode 13, you need to play Yakuza. You played 1 a little bit. But you don't... Oh, you need to know where to start. Yeah, most people say you start from 0 and just play them in sequence from there. You'll get some people that are like, no, stick to the original release order and play 0 after, I don't know, wherever it actually came in the story, but most people do from what I've seen. I've done the same, like looking it up and seeing where the best starting point is. And yeah, starting from Yakuza 0 was definitely the answer that I found. You don't have time for now, that's true and fair, especially while the teething is going on. I hope you're getting some more sleep than you were at the moment. FTW's here, how's it going, FTW? Tell me more about games. When is Age of Empires Mythology? Episode 13 is not called Age of Empires Mythology. I like your style, but it's just called Age of Mythology. And the one coming out is Age of Mythology Definitive Edition, and I would think it's coming out this year, but they've not spoken about it for quite a while now. Yeah, that's... I'm quite looking forward to that, actually. I prefer Warcraft 3 as my flavour of ye olde RTS, but Age of Mythology is quite cool. Shenmue will always beat Yakuza in Impact. It's a pity that Yu Suzuki didn't get a chance to make a button basher. So, I really don't know how well Shenmue holds up. I never played the third one, and I feel like I betrayed Yu Suzuki by not going and visiting the third one, because I loved 1 and 2. I loved 1 and 2. They were so impressive at the time. And then they were less impressive by the time that the third one came out. Oh my goodness. Isla has just said live on the internet that Minecraft is not the best game. Never thought I would see the day. But there we have it. The Sony exclusive one is meant to be poor, you hope not. Well, episode 13, it might be. It didn't review well, but then if 1 and 2 were to release in that period of time, they wouldn't review well. These are games that kind of pioneered open world gameplay in general, and that doesn't mean that it's obviously that genre has been heavily refined since 1 and 2 came out. So if 3 literally tried to follow suit and tried to play on nostalgia and tried to stay faithful to the stylings, then it's not super surprising that it got lambasted a bit. But nonetheless, and I don't know, I've not even YouTubed, like, does he find Landy Sama? What happens with the Phoenix Mirror? I can't even remember the full story from 1 and 2, but I want to see the conclusion for it. Damn, I need to play Shenmue 3 soon. I actually, I want to play a lot of older games at the moment. You think it carries on after 3, so 3 doesn't conclude it. I know originally there was supposed to be like 1 billion chapters, and the game started covering multiple chapters per game because there were going to be too many. I don't know how far 3 goes through it. Very difficult to do that kind of research without getting into spoiler territory. But it sucks if you manage to get Shenmue 3 out, not conclude the stuff, and not get the opportunity to then like do the last ones, 4 and 5 or whatever. I've not heard any word of like another one releasing. Oh, never mind what you're gonna do. But yeah, I want to play loads of games from probably not too many prior to the 360 PS3 kind of era. Yeah, maybe even a few of those. I was thinking, this is an obscure one, I was thinking yesterday, I quite fancy playing 99 Nights. It's not even a good game. It came out at the launch of the 360. And it was one of those Musu things. I've forgotten how to say it again, but not even a good game. Really good music though. And I thought, I want to play that. Don't think it even works on back compat, but I've got an actual Xbox 360 in the other room. I could hook that up. And there's so many older games that I want to play, especially as everyone moves on to extracting money for engagement time and shifts the industry out of my favor to bleed me dry. I want to go back and just play old games. I'd be quite happy forever, I think. And that's a lie, because I'm also an excited child looking at all the things on the horizon going, holy shit, I need to play all of them. They all look brilliant. Everything looks brilliant. I love all the games. Give me everything. Hook them all to my veins. Straight into the brain. Give me those experiences. Old, new, futuristic. Everything. And your other half is playing old 360 Lego games on your Series X back compat. First time the console got turned on in months. The Lego games, like, they were neat at first. They were neat at first. But it's, I don't know, the fact that you just can't die. You have 4 hearts, and or whatever, however many it is, and you expire them, and nothing happens, and it just carries on. It's like, well, what? Okay. And at some point, the, like, its puzzle-solving mechanisms just wore thin for me. Select the right character to interact with the right things on screen as pathing through the levels just got a bit much for me. But everyone is on a Steam Deck. You're having fun with your PlayStation Portable. So many decent RPG games there. I want to get these big old ugly Xbox 360 kind of games. Maybe even like go back to the PS2. I missed quite a lot of PS2 games. Oh shit, there's actually... No, I want to go all the way back to like the Saturn and the first PlayStation. There's loads of games that I missed, but I want to blow them up on a big screen. I don't like handheld portable things particularly. Playing Lego Batman 2 and Lego Star Wars 3. Too many Lego Star Wars games, so I can't even recall which ones I have and haven't played. But yeah, if he's having fun with them, he's having fun with them. Who's to piss on other people's fun, eh? Not me. Ghost Fixer, you've been going between Fallout 4, Starfield, Dave the Diver, Horizon Forbidden West, and then stuff scrolled and I got confused. Trying to finish it at least. I really like the Horizon series. I know a lot of people don't. And there's a few things that are quite difficult. Like, so without going into spoilers of Horizon, I think it's fairly well established that Aloy is a clone of their character Elizabeth Sobek. And I would very much like them to put more effort into exploring like what that means to her identity. To be a clone of someone else. And like be learning about them and what that means, how that reflects on who and what you are. They don't really touch that adequately, but besides that element of it, I think they do a really good job with their sci-fi. Pete, someone asked you about your favourite games today, and apart from Starfield's one of your favourites. That's nice. I know you've put a good couple 100 hours into it, haven't you? But yeah, they were all old. You even started downloading some on the PC for a replay. I might be right. Gonna play the old ones again. Absolutely, Pete. But what, when you're talking about your favourite, what's like the oldest favourite? So Shady, you plug in your 32 CRT. You got fucking hell. And you've got the light gun. Ah. I had so much stuff in those days. I hoarded everything. Stuff was cheaper back then. Like controllers were 20 quid, not 70 or whatever. So I had, I think, 8 controllers for the Saturn. Not including guns, and I had 2 of those as well. 2-player light gun games on the Saturn, like House of the Dead, Virtual Cop. The way that the light guns worked in those days, every time you pulled the trigger, the screen flashed white. While it like... I don't even know why, to be honest. I've never looked into how a light gun worked, but it flashed white so that it could register like where you were shooting. And you'd think that lack of detail would make it harder, not easier for it to do its thing. But every trigger pull, screen flashed white. And if you had 2 people, that was a seizure waiting to happen. But I had that novelty going on. So yeah. Yeah, House of the Dead on the Dreamcast with the light gun. It was amazing. Yeah, suffer like G did. Good times. Pixel Slap, you still haven't looked at Starfield. These updates have you interested? Imagine if you start next year. I'm waiting for Shattered Space. The updates are less significant for me because I was playing it on the PC anyway. So the performance update, I think that's a big deal in the Xbox space because I've said for a while I think they made the wrong decision sticking to 30 on that game. But that is rectified and people can jump in and play it. For me, I didn't finish it. I know Shattered Space is coming. I know the modding community is going to get their hands all over it in the near future. The official Creation Club modding tools are in beta at the moment, so some people already have access to it. So I will let that stuff mature a little. I'm still obviously crossing my fingers hoping someone mods it properly into full VR, but in the meantime I could play a Pancake. But I am going to wait for Shattered Space and some more mature mod tools, then jump in and play the crap out of it, I think. Fallout, on the other hand, I might play sooner rather than later. Fallout 4 has had time to mature, hasn't it? Who is Carl or Carl in House of the Dead 2? I cannot remember. I only remember G. Don't remember the other characters' names at all. Obviously, I remember like the frogs and shit like that, but... You really loved Gauntlet Legends on Dreamcast as a kid? I don't think I liked Gauntlet Legends. He's a character, episode 13. He is a character. You'll play those light guns in the arcade using both guns all the time. Cost you double to play, but the crowds and comments were worth it. You can't have had crowds watching you. Where are you? You're Canada, aren't you, So Shady? Is that right? So actually, you probably have... I hear from Iron Lords and stuff, like arcade culture being quite different to anything that was near me. And I'm not saying the whole of the UK is like where I live, but arcade culture was never like a thing like that. We didn't have the whole queuing up a Tekken machine and people laying down their quarter so that they could challenge you and get a big audience at the arcade. That was never a thing in my childhood. So it's wild to think that you were showboating with your two guns whilst playing Dance Dance Revolution without even looking at it, like backwards dancing, double shooting, everyone in the arcade just cheering you on as you flunk out on the first level of both games because you weren't paying attention to either. That's the story in my head anyway. FCW, you loved NFL Blitz, so you don't give a shit about you don't give a shit about sports and never have. Sports games are a weird one because they used to be fun, and somewhere along the lines almost every sports game got driven towards chasing like TV presentation, chasing like realism. And it's weird because people call them simulations sometimes and they're not simulations. You can get like there are games that are simulations that try and simulate that activity, but sports games are not it. When you're playing FIFA, it's not trying to simulate playing football. Like flight sim is you're supposed to be flying a plane. It's supposed to feel like you're flying a plane. Football is a TV presentation simulator. You are controlling people in a TV presentation, and they do a very damn good job of making it look like a TV presentation. But the more realistic they made it, the more they made the motion look human, the less responsive they got to play and the less fun they were to me. Give me a super kickoff and shit like that over whatever the FIFA ones are called today, any day. You almost gave out autographs. You would have given out autographs, So Shady, but you had a gun in each hand, so how are you supposed to do that, eh? They can ask for them, but you're busy shooting. Suffer like G did is said by the flying goblin thing in House of the Dead 2 right near the start of the game. Yes, indeed. And I don't know why the phrasing sticks in my head forever and ever and ever, but it does. JJ, you grew out of FIFA, but Football Manager will always be a comfort game. Yeah, I get that. It would just take too long for me. There's lots of games that are like... I know you wouldn't call Football Manager a cozy game, but you could call it a cozy game. It is just something that you can just sink forever into. So, no Pixel Slapper. Sega Worldwide Soccer 97. I swear I'm the only person in the entire universe that ever played that game. Tell me you know the scissor kick. I don't think... Oh, did I? No, I did have it at 60 Hz. In fact, the... Wait. Yeah. 60 hertz switch. Burp, 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 burp. The dusty old thing, but still going. Put that down, probably break that forever. Tom, you played Sega Worldwide Soccer. You played it to death. Ridiculous game it was. I used to play that with friends. It was like, I could not call it a quality football game, but there was it funny. Just constantly sprinting down the wing, putting in a cross, and they'd go, on the head, nope. Wild scissor kick every single time. Hours of fun. Don't even like football, but used to love playing this football with a friend, yeah. The Virtual Tennis on the Dreamcast was another brilliant one as a sports game that was just like play and play and play. Absurdly fun, and I've not really played a tennis game since. They're probably like essentially exactly the same today as they were back then because it worked so well. They had tennis perfected. So all they need to do is just keep updating the graphics from there, right? Pixel Slapper, yours can play any region. You got it chipped in 1999. I'll tell you a secret. That one's not mine. Oh no, that one is mine actually. I got a second one in the loft. I was impulsive. I got this one. I'd been at like my mum's house for ages, and she gave it to me, and I was like, "Oh, I got my Saturn. I'm gonna play it." And I tried to play some of the Japanese games that I still had on disc, but I couldn't remember how to launch them, like how to flip the console. I've got the Switch on the back, and my memory was confused. I was like, "Is this not a regional switch? Am I not switching region?" No, this is just the NTSC PAL switch. There's something else that I need to get the Japanese games to work, so I panicked and bought another Saturn off of eBay. Only for like 25 quid or something silly like that. And then realised that that was never the issue. So I still can't fully remember all the details of how I got Shining Force 3 to work and carry my save file over back in the day. But I did. You cross it and scissor kick 9 times out of 10. Tom, this is so nice that other people remember this obscure history, because the Saturn was not a popular console, which is why we never got Shining Force 3 and all of that kind of stuff, and why almost no one has Panzer Dragoon Saga, because it launched as the console was taken off the market, and there were like 10,000 copies in the UK or something silly like that. Just a tiny number really for like almost all of the Saturn owners to be here in this chat right now. Yeah. We used to play a lot of Sega Worldwide Soccer, a lot of Saturn Bomberman that supported 10 players, that's why I had the 8 controllers, and a lot of Death Tank Spy. Dreamcast better than the Saturn? Well, Dreamcast is a phenomenon of a console because it was so ahead of its time, and deserved so much more success, but the Saturn has a special place as well. Saturn's like heart disaster, but the Saturn did have Shining Force 3 and Panzer Dragoon Saga, and like some other games, Dragon Force and stuff like that. The Dreamcast was a lot more accomplished and a lot more forward looking, and kind of set the precedent and the direction for consoles that we're still playing today. So you had a lot of fun with your Dreamcast, yeah. Again, not mine, and I'm not the one that made it this slight shade of yellow that's causing the green screen filter to get rid of it, but my Dreamcast is also to hand, complete with HDMI adapter. I've not played anything on this yet. I like the retro stuff. I'm not a smoker, so my Dreamcast, I actually had 2 Dreamcasts because my wife had a Dreamcast as well, which I considered to be mine, so that we could play Phantasy Star Online together. But no, weirdly, episode 13, the person that I got that off is also not a smoker. So one of my like school friends knew how much I loved the Dreamcast, and he gave that one to me quite recently. They go yellow full stop. Yeah, I'm good, Pete. I assumed that he'd pissed on it or something, because I know he's not a smoker. So yeah, that is a working Dreamcast. what else have I got to hand? I'm not going to pick it up, but I've got a PlayStation 3 here, which is the launch fat model. So it's got the PlayStation 2 in as well. So PlayStation 2 and 3 are covered. My PlayStation 3 is haunted. It turns on at a random hour, like a random time between 1 and 2 in the morning every day. Switches itself on. Makes some little like disc doing things noises and then turns off again. No idea what it's seeking, but obviously I could just unplug it, but I don't want to deny it. Tom, you think you left home by the Dreamcast days? Money went on other pursuits in that era. Well, I've always been a nerd, so. PS3 looks like a George Foreman grilling machine. That's by reputation, yes it does or did. It's not as ugly as the PlayStation 5. Baz, you skipped the Dreamcast, you skipped the future. Oh, Quicksilver's on the Phantasy Star Online Affinia again. We're going to do it, Quicksilver. We are going to have a nostalgia around a Phantasy Star, and it's going to be brilliant. Anyway, I didn't actually anticipate that today's topics would be Sega Worldwide Soccer 97. I'm glad that it was, though. You give me a choice any day of the week, any time. What would you rather talk about? Sony's quarterly financial results or Sega Worldwide Soccer 97? No brainer. Give me them scissor kicks. What's my thoughts on the Assassin's Creed Shadow trailer? Is it day one for me? It was a pretty trailer, Alex. I liked the fire reflecting on the water. I don't care for the game, but I have Ubisoft Plus, so maybe I will play it on day one. Depends when Avowed comes out. Or like what else there is to do at that point in time. No, never had Boglins. JJ, you're going to need to buy a PlayStation at some point. You've not played any PlayStation games since the PS2 days. I kind of made myself today when I was thinking about 99 Nights. I made myself think I want an Xbox 360. I've got an Xbox 360 in the other room. That like it's my Xbox 360. I can bring it here and set it up alongside the Dreamcast and the Saturn and the PlayStation 3. It can sit in my pile of consoles that I never ever use. And I hadn't considered setting it up because back compat on the Xboxes are good in general. But there is quite a big library of games that are not back compat. And I do still have... Oh, do I still have my massive rack of discs? I think I do. If not, I'm sure they're like reasonable to acquire. But I'm not sure if the 360 that I have has an HDMI port. I think I managed to get one of the actual launch models that got refurbished with proper solder so it doesn't red ring of death and doesn't have HDMI. It's not necessarily a problem, especially when you go, oh, actually, we'll have the VGA port. Oh, weird console, that weird console. An RGX 360. What's that, Baz? Is that preloaded with all the games one? The Street Fighter faceplate is more valuable than the console. I can believe that. The pumpkin one is very rare with a capital R, so it's you're talking about the game studio. Stephen, you got a bunch of them that your kids play with. Oh, the Boglins. Okay. Alex, well, I jump back into Starfield. Alex, we already talked about this. I'm going to jump back into Starfield when Shattered Space comes out. Which is like... I don't know if that's before or after Sega Worldwide Soccer 97. Has all of the arcade games on them. I don't want the Xbox Live Arcade stuff so much. Like, nothing against them. I'm sure there's some good ones that I'd like to play. But, yeah, I want some of the actual games. Which, I don't know. Episode 13, good luck with sleeping. That is fine. Doritos Crash Course? Nah. FTW, wish you would have kept your console. It's the only one you got, the PlayStation 2. There are, like, my backlog, I think, starts from Shining the Holy Ark, because I haven't played that yet. Maybe Chrono Trigger is the oldest of the ones that I've missed. Don't know which one came out first between those. And And there are a lot of games between then and now that I want to get on and play. So I wish I had all of my consoles and all of my stuff still. But I don't. I'm not on top chat. Who said top chat? Oh, Isla said top chat. Your eyes hurt. Yeah, we'll get to the questions in a sec. Don't worry. Don't worry. What are we going to talk about? No, we don't need to talk about anything else, do we? Do you know what? If there's anything that you want spoken about, stick it in the Q&A box immediately, because we're going to go into the questions. We're going to bash through those. And then I'm going to go and spend money I don't have on eBay to buy old consoles and games. I say that quietly because I don't want anyone to hear me. Painful discourse, you bought a Mio Mini Plus V3 to play PlayStation 1 games. There is always the emulation option, which in some cases makes more sense. But Pete, I didn't see your answer on the oldest game that you count among your favourites. You may well have answered it and I just missed it. But Alex, well, the Diablo 4 Season 4 bring me back to the game. Yes. Not because it's Season 4. I've been intending to go back since they added all the ray tracing and stuff. I want to finish the campaign and do some hardcore plays. I need to get back to streaming. I haven't streamed for so long. Somebody asked me to stream so that I feel loved, and then I'll get back to streaming. Either you were trying to hurry me, or you were successfully hurrying me even if you weren't trying. Stream, yes, stream. Okay, cool. Cool, and where shall I stream? I've got a Twitch channel. I've got the Gaming Arcadia YouTube channel, and I can do a side YouTube channel. Tony, you gave up asking my VR stream. Tony, can you get a Hellsweeper, please? It's got 2-player co-op. And you go, like, you hold the trigger and you go whoosh to get fireballs in your hands, and then you clap them together and you become a flaming tornado, like a vortex that hovers across the map. And when you get bored, you rip your hands apart and you explode, and everything dies. I'll do that and you can watch. STW YouTube, you hate Twitch but for internet reasons. Fair enough. Fair enough. Get back on GeForce Now. Why, Alex? Episode 13 also YouTube best. In a gully slightly too small for a river. That's where I should stream. Thank you, Tom. I'll try that. James, you just finished your treadmill run. Time to stretch and kick. Good. Good. So Pete, member chat, is it? It's displayed a little bit funny for me, but I think it is. Oh shit, and I can see it there actually. Wait. I don't want to miss it. I want to see it properly. So, that's the first question. I'm going to get to that in a second, right? Isla, you put the first question up, haven't you? My display is confusing me. Peter said something and I've missed it. Please tell me if I missed any other super chats or member milestone things, but I think Peter said that you were massively old. That will be Carrier Command, the Sentinel, XCOM, the original XCOM adventure. No, the original adventure was the name of a game. Holy shit, these are old. Pete, I'm glad that they're old. Good. He's like legendary game developer that's had a hand in some cool stuff. And it's great. I like hearing about this. I like hearing about the stuff that, like, even if I don't even know what Carrier Command is. But I have heard the name Carrier Command actually. And I think you've told me about the original adventure before. Now the games that you the games you enjoyed mostly last gen were Bejeweled 3, Superliminal, The Fall, Glass Masquerade, Hex Logic, Limbo, Inside, Unravel, The Swapper, Threes, The Turing Test, Trials Fusion, Ori Will of the Wisps. Do you not like AAA games? Would you say you're specifically trying to list like smaller titles, or do you actually not normally enjoy the big ones? Gaming with passion, how's it going? What have you been playing? Episode 13, Starfield is AAA. Yeah, but like that's a big list of games that isn't Starfield as well. FTW, you played Limbo, Inside, and Unravel, and you enjoyed them all. I played a bunch of the games that are on that particular list. But oh, that's cool. Good, Pete. Pete enjoys Rocket League. Of course he does. Rocket League is one of the only games that you can say is basically perfect. And will last forever. Well, it won't last forever, but it could do. It won't be any less fun in 20 years' time if there were still people to play it with. And Tom's going to jump back in time to beat your times beat, yeah. Yeah. I do like a bit of competitive high score play. I don't like it enough to go and play Peggle 2. I don't understand what you're all up with that. Like, why you're on Peggle 2. But typically, a high score can make a game a lot more fun. Anyway, while we're still talking about this, I'm going to start going through these questions because they will take up the rest of the time that we have left, really. They always do. Painful Discourse has asked, how do I feel with Game On ending? This is a question that you're going to need to like ask again after various intervals of time have passed. At the moment, I'm very glad that it's over. And I say that knowing that, like, we ran that for years, and I can look at it in two parts. There's Game On, like, as it was as a company and ambition, a platform, the things that I wanted it to be. I'm very sad that that stuff is gone. That the plans that were in place for it were really good, and we never got to realize those, and that is very sad. But putting that aside and just considering the Saturday show, I'm so glad I'm not doing it anymore. If I'm being honest, which I always try to be. And I see a lot of people are like keen on it and want more collaborations and things like that. But for me, my Saturdays at the moment, I'm so relieved not to be dreading the conversations on that show. And this is why I say, like, when different amounts of time have passed, I might feel differently about that. So keep asking on a regular basis and check in, and we'll see how that gets processed over time. That's the thing, Baz. Like, I thought it was fairly evident that I haven't enjoyed those shows for quite a long time. And that's not to say that they're all bad. I'm not trying to, like, not playing a little violin for myself or anything like that. But yeah, I'm glad to be able to do things in this different atmosphere, if that makes sense. Yeah. Gaming with Passion, you want to see some guests in the future? What kind of guests? There's a dark side to the guesting scene. Which makes me reluctant, but getting put into awkward opinions is detrimental to my ethos. You like my chin. Gamesy, you always come on. You can always filter to nice guests. Well, obviously episode 13 I would have control of, like, who would be guesting where and what not, and it might be a thing that happens, but a lot of the, like, guest scene is I don't know, like, trying to ride other people to growing an audience and stuff like that, which isn't inherently bad. It makes sense to do that kind of thing, but it's also not something I'm heavily pursuing. So I really like that I have regular people that are good to talk to and just talk to them week in, week out. So guests is something that is might happen at some point, but I'm not in a rush to do that. Game on Daily is how you found my channel and Gaz as well. Yeah, Ghost Fixer, and I'm not trying to, like, I'm not trying to denigrate that, if that makes sense. Like, I put a lot of work into that show, ran it, like, for years, and it grew to a good subscriber number. It had a good audience. It had all of these things going for it, and there were fun times in that show. But in this moment, when you ask me, am I glad that I'm not doing it anymore? Yeah, I'm glad that I'm not doing it anymore. That makes sense? I hope that makes sense. Format's good at the moment. Well, I do have Saturdays free now for like a different kind of show potentially, and there are some people that I would like to have on as guests and things like that. So don't get me wrong. Barfly. A pixel slapper, people will find your gamer will find their way. Baby Steps should be my next live gaming stream. When does Baby Steps come out? Baby Steps, I reckon, is going to do really well on streaming services. I'm not sure. Not sure if it'll be one that I immediately jump onto, but it could be surprisingly fun. That kind of game where there's like just controlling it is the challenge, is the game in itself, is striving to function. Those do well as streaming games, but problem is I'm too good at games, so I just make it look easy and people will be like, oh, why is this guy just walking in straight lines perfectly all the time? Pete, a load of people here watched and said to themselves, I need to do my own stuff, and here we are. Maybe, Pete, maybe. Do a general podcast where I talk anything and everything with rotating cast. As in a gaming podcast, Gamsley. It's not out of the question. Something like that could happen. Oh, I'm sorry, Alex. Am I boring you? Okay, let's do the next question. You're trying to get me to sell out Pixel Slapper. Yeah. Won't happen. I'm very, very stubborn. God. Alex. Come on. Alex in the questions and answers box has put in, can I ask a question? With a question mark. I've sent you an invitation, Alex. You have an invitation to ask a question. Do it. FCW, Nintendo show day. I almost forgot to ask. I'm so tired from watching. Well, that is again not a question that I can answer. So I'll refer that one over to Isla. Soon. There you go. The answer is soon. And I think we've already established that Gamsley's on that, Isla's on that, I'm on that. But needs to look right, have all of that stuff put together, and I need to actually play some Nintendo games, and then we can do it. Won't be this Friday, but soon. Did you? Who's yelling? What do you mean, did you? Nobody loves anyone like Tony loves people. That's true. FTW, you're watching Crabs. You guess you might not see the emojis. No, I won't see the emojis properly. Depends, actually. Sometimes I do. No, I can see a crab there. Episode 13's just done it. I see a balloon. I see all kinds of things. Some of them do come through. I'm on Twitch at the moment. Nothing from Twitch comes through because no one's on Twitch ever saying anything ever. Do need to just give up on Twitch, don't I? Okay, so episode 13. Do you think Xbox are going fully third party as in putting all of their games on PlayStation or Switch? Episode 13. I don't know. Does it worry you? There's there's loads of speculation about this all the time. Over the course of like a few months, people will tell you adamantly absolutely nothing is going across, some things are, everything is, and me taking a guess adds no value to that conversation whatsoever. I don't mind if they go full third party. I would like them to keep Game Pass as the differentiator. The other conversation that obviously goes alongside it when people are taking wild guesses at what they think may or may not happen is whether Game Pass changes as a service, whether the games from Microsoft first party stay on there day and date, whether the price changes, all of those kind of things. I think the two things are connected though. If Microsoft's games across ABK and Bethesda and Microsoft themselves, say Xbox, stay day and date in the service, then it doesn't do them much harm to go day and date on other platforms as well to sell those games, because they still have that massive differentiator that they're included in their subscription if you play it on their platforms. If they were to walk back what Game Pass is, and so they were just selling those games, and then they were likewise selling those games on the PlayStation and the new Nintendo thing, there would be no reason for anybody to use the Xbox platform, really. They would lose their, like, the whole value proposition would go down the toilet with that. So if they were to walk back Game Pass, then they would need that, like, at least timed exclusivity for their games for their console to make any sense. And we've been told for the foreseeable future they're keeping the Game Pass offering going, so I don't think it does them any significant harm to put games elsewhere. And any significant harm, like, I'm not saying that there are no negatives to that approach. There are, of course, negatives. It does devalue the console to some extent. Like, can't really argue that there's no detriment to it at all. But I think it's a non-issue. Like, I don't really care if they do or not. Pixel Slapper, Xbox has a future as table legs. You're making one. Yeah. Magnum, if they put their games on other platforms, it'll kill the Xbox brand, as third parties will pull away from porting games to Xbox. It depends though, because like, so far we've not seen a Microsoft actually putting out games to bolster what their service is. But if Game Pass becomes a sought after service, then the console is also sought after, and then it is worth third parties trying to sell games onto a successful ecosystem. There's lots of ifs, buts, and maybes about that, though. Like, lots of things that would have a knock-on effect if they change. So any guesswork is going to be all caveated around it. But like, you can have the same conversations around PlayStation. There's this expectation that PlayStation are going to put everything day and date on PC, and they might do, and they might not. And there's pros and cons to either approach. Each one is detrimental in some regards. And people are so overly confident on what they think is going to happen in that space, when really there are more than one valid answer. So it is just guesswork at this point. I can see, for me, for the foreseeable future, for like the next certain number of years, I don't think it's going to be an all or nothing approach. I think both platforms are going to put some things day and date elsewhere, and both platforms are going to keep some things to entice people onto their platform, because both of them still highly value being able to be a platform, being able to be a storefront, being able to take 30% of all of the V-Bucks money, all of the Roblox money, all of that kind of shit. They don't want to give that up. So I don't think any of them are going to give up things that make their platform viable in the near future. But I don't know. So don't take my guesswork to be any more valuable than anybody else's guesswork. What did I win 6 straight of? Gamsley, is this League of Legends? We're amazing at League of Legends. And actually, so I do have things in the works. Gamsley has thus far been very willing to do all kinds of content and things. So once he's settled into his new place and is no longer in prison, we're going to have a little chat about how best to present these things, and we will do some more streaming and things, I hope. I hope that happens. That I like collaborative streams and things like that. I think it sets them apart and makes them a bit more interesting than just watching boring me playing a game. Gamsley is a machine that runs on enthusiasm. Yes, he is. As long as it's streaming Brotato. Do you know what, FCW? There's a co-op update for Brotato, and I don't think I'll get away with not playing it. I can probably like schedule that in alongside some sleep. So could work out well for everybody, right? Little nap time, stream some Brotato. Right, next question is up. It's the Jinner. I see your name all the time and I don't know. I'm going to say Jinner, but I might be pronouncing it completely wrong. I've never known from looking at it. With me now free on the podcast market, who would be my dream podcast co-host on a future endeavor? I've already got multiple podcasts here where I'd got to choose the hosts myself. So setting those aside and looking elsewhere, controversially, no, I'm not going to go controversial actually. The only podcast that I've been on as a guest that's been super comfortable on multiple occasions has been ACG. And I'm not saying that I have any plans to try and set up a regular podcast with him, but other podcasts that I enjoy most is definitely his. He's got the same vibe and attitude as I do towards like console warring and just appreciating games. So I find that a lot, and I've been on their Wednesday show a few times with ACG and Abzy, and we have very easy conversations. So that would work, but Luke, I don't roll in the mud with the names like that. So yeah, I know. I'm not sure how much capacity I have for getting more podcasts going. Got Nintendo one coming with Gamsley and Isla. Got the Xbox one already with Gamsley and Deadly Headley. And we've got the Arcadia Roundtable with Darge and Chris. Might get stretched a bit thin if I keep expanding beyond then. I know. So Luke in chat here is always brilliant to talk to. Alex, no, I wouldn't say I'm getting particularly drunk at the moment. Proteus controller is cool as fuck. Is that the one? Is that the not gonna say it. Is that the one that was on our Discord server today? The new accessibility controller that I actually really want. I don't want to stick it up my butt. I actually want to use it as a controller. Looks like 4 balls stuck together. I don't know how modular it is. I only actually saw the initial image on the tweet or whatever it was. In fact, can I bring that up? Oh, can I bring that up? Not right now. I'm not going to bring it up, but it looks like the ideal. So when you go between a controller at the moment and a keyboard and mouse as control options, the keyboard and mouse is like infinitely superior for aiming. The mouse is just better than a controller, but a keyboard is not better than a controller. For movement, a controller, an analog stick gives you analog movement and a keyboard doesn't. WASD gives you 8 directions if you're being generous. So the ideal is a comfortable to hold one-handed analog stick kind of gizmo with a mouse. And you can do like Halo supports dual. You can play Halo with like a controller in one hand and a mouse on the other one if you want to, but the controllers are like uncomfortably weighty. Like it's just not a nice natural grip. It is pulling away from your hand as you're trying to play. Whereas this new controller that they've got, I'm not saying I'm going to spend $300 on it, especially not if they're like a limited run and people need them and all of that kind of stuff, but it's pretty close to something ideal to go with a mouse. What's my most anticipated game for the year, Luke? Still my most anticipated game remaining this year, setting aside like VR stuff, is Avowed. I very much want to play Avowed. And I'm setting aside Hades 2 as well, because that's not coming out this year, Luke. That's not coming out this year. This year, my most exciting ones going into it, if you were to catch any of like the tail end of last year's shows where I would talk about that kind of thing, I had Dragon's Dogma as my expected to be the best game, I said prior to actually getting to it. And Final Fantasy VII was the game that I couldn't miss because I was already fully invested in it. Those two have obviously been and gone. But I always said that the tier below that was Avowed and Hades. And those two, Hades has been pushed to next year as far as I'm concerned. So that leaves Avowed. So Shady, you'd love if Xbox made a comfortable split controller, kind of like the Joy-Cons with no waggling. I can have a little waggling, why not? A little bit of waggling to expand the audience. Pixel Slapper, are you allowed to say Forza? What are you anticipating for Forza? What are they adding to that? FCW, you can't think of anything you're excited for now. There's that slim chance that Dragon Age Dreadwolf ends up being this year. I don't talk about it enough because it like EA do a pretty good job of keeping it out of out of people's minds until they're ready to show it. But they may be ready to show it soon. Forza Horizon 6, what, as a this year game? That would be something. They do, like typically, historically, they have announced the Forza Horizon games fairly close to release. So... You're laughing at the accent? Wait a minute. What did I do? What about VR games? What's my most anticipated game? So you've got Batman, Aliens as native Quest games. I'm forgetting the name of both of them. It's Batman, Arkham Shadow, and Alien Rogue something, I don't know. As native Quest ones, but there's Behemoth, which is an all platforms game that I've not seen anything of, but they invited people to play it very recently, so it's coming along. And that presented itself as a kind of VR Shadow of Colossus, but only through CGI that I've seen so far. It has a good studio behind it, and I'm looking forward to that. There's also what was the real heavy metal game that I liked on Game Pass last year? What was that called? Hell something about hell. Music rhythm game that's getting a surprise VR release, which I will be all over as well. There you go, So Shady. You're on board for the wagon. I knew you would be. But VR is difficult. Like, was it just called Hell Rising? Something like that. That was good as a pancake game. But as a VR game, yes, all over it. No, I haven't answered that question, Anna. I will in a second. FTW, that doesn't count as a game. You can't have a little expansion pack. No, you can. You're welcome to. I haven't finished base Elden Ring yet, though, so I can't choose that answer. Damn, I need to finish base Elden Ring as well. And bloody Sekiro. Okay, cool. Tony Hellswinger, absolutely. Metal Hellsinger, that's the one. Thank you, Painful Discourse. Metal Hellsinger gets a proper native VR game as well, which includes a Steam version. So... give me a good headset for that, and I will blast stuff while I have music screaming in my ears. So, Anne Gifford has speaking of older games, do you tend to gravitate towards a specific genre? Yeah, but not by... I would like to play more older games so that I could claim that I'm gravitating towards anything. But I can't ignore, when I look at my lists of games that I've loved over the course of time, can't ignore that there's an overly strong representation from the Japanese RPGs. I have an affinity for the genre, or I grew up playing a lot of those. So there's a lot of those on the list that I want to go back to. But when I'm talking about wanting to play older games, I'm actually a lot more open to what I would play. If I'm going back saying, oh, these are the games that I enjoyed in my childhood, these are my favorites, all of that kind of stuff, loads of JRPGs. Can't help it, they just are. But if I'm looking at things that I'd want to go and play now, pretty much anything and everything. I just want to sample and savor some things. Yeah, it's a difficulty. There are too many games, even current modern games. And when you consider a backlog of 20, 30 years worth of things that I still want to play, it's a massively overwhelming amount of things to do. And I want to do all of them. So, apart from fishing games. And stealth games. Don't care for the stealth games. Park those ones. I'll play everything else. Yeah, maybe not the Metroidvanias. I don't think roguelikes particularly used to exist in a big way. 3D platformers. Park most of the 3D platformers. Occasionally you get 3D platformers that I like, but broadly as a genre, yeah, probably skip them. No, I'm open to playing the 3D platformers as well. I think that just about covers that question, right? Let's do the next one. Pixel Slapper, you didn't get that far in the alphabet. No VR for you. I think Judas is next year, FTW. What wine is that? This is not the usual one. This is a 19 Criminals something that was recommended by somebody else, and it's all right. It's all right. I'll try and find out, but I can't remember. 19 Criminals do quite a variety of wines, and we were told that one of them is good, but we weren't told which one is good, so we've just been slowly working through all of them to see if any of them stand out. Criminal at large. Maybe so, Pixel Slapper, but don't tell anyone. Judas is 2026. Well, maybe, Tony, but it's been announced as 2025. And I know that you're being facetious and you just assume that everything is going to be delayed, and maybe you'll be right. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is this year. Is it, FTW? I haven't played the first one yet, so they can wait. Tell them to wait. Tony, Sabotage. The 19 Crimes white is good. Not sure on the reds. I don't particularly do white wine. But maybe for you, Tom, I'll try it one day, as you've recommended it, kinda. That's what happens when your heart's been burnt for so many years. Tony, you're not short of things to play. Your heart's fine. Did you know if you point your phone at the 19 Criminal wine label, it animates? Pete, is that by any chance after you've polished off the bottle? Steam says that Kingmakers is 2024. Isn't that, hasn't that been on its way for like ever? Painful Discourse. Try Ball the Suck wine? That's not a thing. Tony, Kingdom Come Deliverance will be 2027. But have you played the first one, Tony? Was it good? Are you looking forward to the second one? Stop being so pessimistic. It was a promotional thing. Maybe. Oh no, my Windows phone. My TV controller. Don't mind me. I'm alright. How did my Windows phone just fall over? Don't know, but it did. Next question. So, who do I think would win in a fight with me and Gamsley? Definitely me, Baz. Gamsley's got age on his side, but he weighs half of what I do. Yeah, that's not strictly true, but... Tony, you're actually very respectful with your clips. I appreciate that a lot. I see the stuff that you put on from the community streams. And by and large, you skip the parts where I'm playing like a complete knob. So that's how I know you're a good friend. Trying to make me look vaguely competent on the internet. So yeah, definitely me. Sorry, Gamsley. Next question, please. Wait a minute. FTW, what have you just shouted? Oh, Black Myth Wukong. Do you know, that's not very high on my list. I'm definitely interested in it, but I wouldn't say I'm confident in it. So, we shall see how it plays out. Who knows, maybe I'll end up absolutely loving it. But if you talk about my most anticipated, I wouldn't rank that near the top. But much in the way as I've got a history of loving Japanese RPGs, maybe playing something of Chinese origin, well, might also just like strike a chord as something different to what I'm used to and make me love it. Space Denizen, has this console gen been enough of an upgrade from the last? This is a thing lots of people struggle with. There's lots of negativity around the consoles at the moment. And it's weird because I've, like previously, since the Xbox 360 generation, I've always said that consoles are only good for 3 years. And then I get bored and move on. Like they only can perform to an acceptable standard for about 3 years before they're left too far behind. The PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One never managed 3 years. They launched the terrible consoles. The Series X and the PlayStation 5, I genuinely think they're both brilliant. And I don't understand why people hate them so much. Yes, they're struggling with some things at the moment in terms of Like if you have Unreal Engine 5 with all the bells and whistles, your resolution might be like a little low. I've been playing Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and without question, the PlayStation 5 struggles in how it outputs that game. But the consoles are brilliant, and I think there's a perception that they haven't had enough like hard-hitting games that you couldn't get on the console before, and that is a result of the generations not being that distinct. Like everything is cross-gen, everything will be cross-gen, and when we go into the next generation, everything will be cross-gen, and that is just how games and consoles are delivered now, because it's the only viable way to like handle the budget of developing a big game. It has to go across a massive audience. So I get why there's this perception that they haven't delivered, because you'd buy a previous generation console and you get loads of games that are like, this is exclusive to this console, look how it makes it sing and shine. Whereas now most things have had to work across the board. I understand the perception, but the hardware is not underwhelming in the way that the previous generation was. It's actually very capable. They're very nice to use. And that wasn't true last generation either. I think now if you go back and you try and use like an Xbox One or a PlayStation 4, it's a horrible experience. So these ones are cool, especially like the PlayStation is a bigger upgrade than the Xbox was. So the Xbox One X was visually capable, and it had like decent headphone sound and all of that kind of stuff. But if you look at the PlayStation side of things, PlayStation 4 compared to the PlayStation 5 is a massive like chasm of a leap if you use headphones and things like that. So yeah, no, I'm not disappointed by these consoles myself. I understand the perception that they haven't like severed the tie from the previous generation and things have been smoothed over in that kind of horrible way, but they're just nice to use. They're nice to use. So Shady, you're loving this gen of consoles. Very impressed with the load times, the 60 frames, the back compat, the FPS. Yeah, people seem to think these consoles are struggling for 60 frames per second. There's like 5 games that don't do it out of 1,000 or something. Like, they've delivered good frame rates, they've delivered quick load times, they've delivered good sound. So I enjoy them. It's also, when you get this like massive negativity, if you find the people that are really negative about these consoles and you look at the way they were talking about games, just go back to like February when Elden Ring came out, like last year or whatever it was. Is that last year or the year before? And look at the sentiment when these consoles were 2 years old. Look at the sentiment around the games that were coming out at that point in time, when you had like February and games were going bang, 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 and people were like, what? It's February. We're not supposed to have this array of incredible games hitting us in the face on a constant basis. And it was like unanimous love for the games that were coming out and how good they were. And now everyone's like, oh, this has been a terrible console generation. No, it hasn't. You've bloody well forgotten your own feelings. Luke, you think if you look at some of the stuff these consoles are managing to output visually, between stuff like Avatar, Alan Wake 2, Forbidden West, Hellblade, they're actually doing quite well. They are. And I know that you can get a 4090 and you can blow them out the water. Of course you can. But they're really good gaming experiences that they're offering. So, and it's weird to me because I have a 4090, right? I'm lucky in that sense, in that I have a PC that can blow the consoles out of the water. But I can look at these consoles and go, wow, these are really good. And the people that have spent 2 years telling you the consoles are great and fighting their little wars and whatever, suddenly hate them. And it's like, this is so weird. Why do I like the consoles more than you? You're the ones that have been cheering them on. Oh well. Oh well. Yes, exactly so, Shady. February and March became a second holiday season for a few years. Like at least a couple of years in a row. Wow, this is the new normal for February and March. We get great games. That's never happened before. Damn, I hate this console generation. It's terrible. It's not. It's good. What are you talking about? But that's just me. And not just me. I'm sure there's some other people that are enjoying the consoles as well, hopefully. Stephen Southwick has asked. No, it's not the question. It says Gamsley all the way. Do you think that Gamsley would beat me in a fight? Oh, I see. See, what you can't tell, or what you might not know, Stephen Southwick, is Gamsley is a very talented athlete. I take nothing away from him. He's done exceptionally well. competing in his taekwondo, winning his medals and all of that kind of stuff. But he's very, very small. And I also do like a good standard of martial art. So if I was just like, oh, I'm 6'3", I'll beat Gamsey, no problem, then I'd be a bit of a prick. But if I was like, oh, I'm 6'3", but I'm also a fifth dad in that martial art and do fight quite a lot, then I think that makes me less of a prick to think that I've got more than a good chance. So yeah, no, I'm feeling all right about a confrontation with Gamsey. And like I say nothing away from him. He's a brilliant athlete who I respect a lot. Isla, you tried to warn me. Did I hear you? I didn't hear you, no. The stream might have heard you, but I did not. Sad face. Why? What did you warn me about? What's the sad face? Is my face sad? You've reminded me that Baz rocked in telling me how terrible I look. I forgot. Quick, let's do the next question. You warned me that I was on the wrong one? Oh. There are no more questions. Did I miss a question? Oh. Bruises the Clan, yeah, quick resume is nice to have. There are, like, even now with the 4090, there are some games that I'll just play on the Series console for convenience. Yeah. Alex, I missed your question on Discord. Isla will fetch it. Isla does not miss the Baldur's Gate 3 streams. We finished Baldur's Gate 3. Tony, did yours come through? I have not seen a question from you. So no, but you can still ask it. You've still got time. If any question would make me feel most awkward, what would it be? Do you know what, Tom? For my own reasons, I'm probably not going to share the answer to that one. Probably not going to share the answer to that one. There are many questions that would make me feel awkward. Like if you wanted to make me feel awkward, you wouldn't have a hard time being able to do that. Yeah. Tony, YouTube hates you. This is the 4th stream that it doesn't come through. I just pasted one from somewhere though. It says, I was going to post a question, but then it would be cheating since I want your gut answer. And then it minimized. Not an overnight sleep on it type of answer. Face, devil thing. I don't know what to do with that. The background and the soundtrack. Pete, have a crack at it. They're relevant both to this week's happenings, kind of. Neither of them are like major stories of the week, but both kind of relevant in their own little way. You could tie them to stories of the week. Tony, whatever your question is that you want your gut reaction to, please put it somewhere. I've got this one from Alex, says that what are my thoughts on PlayStation's focus has shifted from game sales to actual playtime, Sony says. All Sony actually said was very obvious stuff. That at some point during the PlayStation 4 generation, the audience habits shifted. People started playing games in different ways and they found great ways to profit from it. So they're going to keep doing that. And like I said earlier, corporations telling me how they want to extract money from my corpse doesn't excite me. But it's also like very easily recognizable trends in the industry. So I didn't really need Sony to tell me that. I already knew that. Everybody already knew that. We all did. We've all seen it. I don't need to watch Sony quarterly update to understand that there's people spending money on Fortnite like it's some kind of revelation. We all know that. Everybody knows that. Knowing people and habits is ultimately the playground. Simple fact. Tony, okay, so this is going to be Tony's question that he wanted. If you could change one thing about the gaming industry, what would it be? From the development to where games release on and the price on them. That was your question. If I could change one thing about the gaming industry, am I allowed to like totally sync the gaming industry with my answer? Like the thing that needs to shift in the industry for me, the constant threat against it is it's this conflict between like creative and greedy corpo suit. And I don't think it's like, I don't think the situation is reversible, but somewhere along the lines people were creating games because they have a love for creation and they wanted to create games and entertainment for people. And obviously I'm including things like Hellblade that aren't fun, but they're creating art in that sense. And those people still exist and are still prominent and are still like the lifeblood of the industry. They're what makes it work. But everything is governed by money, which is an inevitable reality of the world. So if there was anything that I could change, it would just be to shift the balance in favor of the creatives over the greedy asses, you know? And I don't know that there is one dial you can tweak that would kind of shift that and fix that. I don't know if like walking back some of the industry consolidation would be helpful in that regard, or what you can do to get there. I don't think you can get there, but the actual like the prices and the monetization and all that kind of stuff, there's not a singular thing that I would change to say now I fixed everything. It is the shift between greed and art that I would want to address if I had that kind of unlimited power. Does that make sense? It's like a non-answer, but it is an answer. I'm taking it as an answer, so you have to take it as an answer. That's what you're getting, Tony. Tom likes his beef balls. They're amazing, but 2 was maybe too much. Good. Everything becoming publicly listed didn't help. That's like outside my jurisdiction, Pete. Outside the remit of this show. Capitalism, you know. It definitely is like the insatiable need for growth is insatiable. It can't be reconciled against creating art in any good way. Makes it more scary when you consider like this could be taken as political, because obviously it very much is, really. But when you look at the games industry and how the need for growth impacts a commoditized area of the world, and then you look at like privatized services and things, my head kind of explodes to think that in the gaming space you can have a company like Microsoft can look at the gaming industry and go, well, we need to grow this, or we need to cut costs because we need to deliver growth to our shareholders. And you look at that in like I don't know, like the health sector or whatever, just as a concept. They say, oh well, you're a private healthcare provider, so your demand is fixed. It's the number of sick people, and in theory you have no control over the number of sick people, so your options as a private healthcare provider are to charge those people more money or to reduce the service so that you can continue to grow. And it just blows my mind that that's like a real scenario for the real world. Like, you can't function like that long term. We'll all die. So that's a happy note. In theory, well, yeah. I hope we don't all die. Alex, no, that's the question that I've already had. Were there any more questions, Isla? Can I repeat that? No, because I can't even remember what I said. Can never remember what I said after like 2 seconds of saying it. So I might repeat it, but if I do, it'll be a coincidence because I happen to arrive at the same point again, not because I remembered it. Alex, how would I change early access on pre-orders? Pay more to play 3 days early. Well, there is a question in there, Alex, particularly around the Game Pass scenario, or It works in other spaces as well. It works in retail. At the moment, 3 days seems to be an accepted standard. So if you pay a deluxe fee, if you pay like 30 quid on top of your 70 or 30 quid on top of your Game Pass subscription or whatever it may be, you can get onto that game 3 days before release, which is a PR fluff, dishonest way of presenting that scenario. The reality of it is everybody that pays the normal price gets the game on day 3. It's commercially available before then. So day 1 is the day that people are allowed to buy it and play it. And day 3 is the day that the people paying the standard price are allowed to play it. So the question then becomes, like, people seem to have accepted that. It gets very little pushback. So you have to consider that as accepted. We all accept you can pay 30 quid and get 3-day early access. How much early access is too much before people do push back? So if you had your, like, Microsoft games are day 1 on Game Pass, or you can pay 30 quid and you'll get it 3 days early and whatever else, how far can they push that? Like, you pay 30 quid and you get it like a month early, 6 months early. At what point are people going to start kicking up a fuss and saying, whoa, this isn't day 1 on Game Pass anymore? I don't know what the number is, but there will be a number. And I don't know if they're going to keep pushing it to reach that number. So personally, Alex, I'm not a fan of it. It feels wrong, partly because I'm aware of how manipulative it is. I recognize when they tell me that I can pay this much money to get it 3 days early. I see exactly what they're doing, and it doesn't feel nice to see it in that light. But at the same time, it's not the most sinister practice in the industry. So I don't know. I'm very curious to see, like, because obviously they're going to push things and always push things further and further. Like, oh, a month early for a whole 70 quid more. That sounds reasonable, doesn't it? Maybe to some people. We'll see. We'll see when people start pushing back on it. Far Cry 5, good. You're out. You're not taking the bait. Wait a minute. What bait? I'm not baiting you. Have a good night, FTW. No, it's not night for you. You're saying good night. You got a 4-hour break, so you're going to get 3 hours of sleep. Yeah, do it. Don't let me waste your time. Go and have a sleep. Are there any more questions, Isla? Oh, it's 12:05. That wasn't supposed to happen. To answer your question from earlier, Pete, because I'm not sure I've seen anyone yell out the background and the OST. The background is Forspoken, which is there because it's Forspoken. So it's a Square Enix PlayStation exclusive, relevant because Square Enix are committed to going multi-platform with their... Well, they're committed to 2 things. 1, to making only big, high-quality games, and 2, to going multi-platform everywhere, which Forspoken was not. So I went for a Forspoken background. And the OST is Immortals of Avium, because Immortals of Avium is on Game Pass and EA Play tomorrow. So I thought I'll pull that little bit of music. Late question has come in from Lethal Migraine. How does Xbox justify shutting down successful studios while wasting money on things like FanFest? FanFest, they justify these things independently. FanFest they justify because essentially it's the marketing that people always want them to do. It's an attempt to capture and stir viral marketing and to keep the influencer space on board. So they justify that because any money that they spend on FanFest is returned through positive word of mouth on social media and all the rest of it. And how they justify it, like how they stick those numbers together, I don't know, but that's definitely how marketing works, right? They're not blowing that money to be nice to their fans. They're blowing that money because they want people to shill for them. Classified as advertising, and it gets a different budget. Exactly. So Shady, it will have a budget, and it will be expected that budget makes its way, it makes its returns, right? Magnum Auto-Tune. No, I have and have always had the same Go XLR as Gaz does. So all of the auto-tuning functionality is at my fingertips, and I will continue to keep my fingers to myself. I'm not going to be pressing those buttons. Isla's going to expire. So what was the other part of that question? How can they justify getting rid of those studios? Yeah, shit that they got rid of those studios. I don't think they need to justify it against FanFest. One other kind of interesting question somebody asked the other day. So everyone's obviously upset that Tango Gameworks closed down, as well as Arcane Austin and the others. But the question came down: if you had this mandate from on high, from like Satya Nadella or whatever else, saying that you need to trim a certain amount of cost from ZeniMax, who would you get rid of? If not Tango Gameworks, as a means to justify it. And it doesn't justify it, but it's something to chill on and think about for whoever did have to make that decision on who to get rid of. Do it. I'm not going to. I actually also, because I use like NVIDIA Broadcast, my PC is loud and my room is loud. I don't have a nice silent professional studio. I cannot get rid of fan noise. So if I don't have noise removal, it sounds shit, but the noise removal does ruin any kind of auto tune or anything like that. So there are actually reasons that I don't want to press those buttons. It does get butchered by the software. And yeah, that's it, I think. So somehow, despite refusing to cover most of the major topics this week, we've managed to run 2 hours talking about Sega Worldwide Soccer 97 and Virtua Tennis. Isla has died, which this is sad. I didn't want that to happen. I don't want to jump back into Elder Scrolls Online. No, Alex, I don't play Elder Scrolls Online. I love these questions. Keep on asking them. But no, I will not. That is the end of this show. All my fans can be heard throughout the room. Like my PC fans, Tom. The actual fans that I have. Someone scream my name loudly. Don't do that. You can if you want. I won't hear you. We are done. Our Replicant's here. Hey, Replicant. How... I meant to ask earlier. I hope the various people that are not so well are doing okay. But for now, this is the end. Yeah, right at the end. We had good conversations today. I enjoyed them anyway. So yeah, enjoy your sleeps, your games, whatever it is you're doing. Tomorrow has the Xbox Series podcast, and then we'll be getting on with all kinds of things going forwards, because I hear that game streaming might be coming back soon as well. For now, though, this is the end. So get in the Discord, and I'll see you there.